Hello everyone, here we are with question number 6. So we're provided with the diagram of a 12 centimeter by 40 centimeter rectangle, which we now have to form into a hollow cylinder with height 40 centimeters. So you have to kind of visualize that the rectangle is going to be twirled in this manner and that it is going to form a cylinder with length 40 centimeters and 12 centimeters down here. So this 12 centimeters, what you need to understand, is going to be the entire distance around the circle. So when we talk about entire distance around the circle, we're talking about circumference. So reading on with our question, show that the radius of this cylinder is 1.910 centimeters, correct to 3 decimal places. So therefore, now we know the circumference of the circle is equivalent to 12 centimeters, which means for any circle, we are considering this to be 2 pi r, which is equal to 12, and therefore r is equal to 12 divided by 2 pi, which we can simply plug into our calculators to obtain the 1.910 centimeters that is required. The next thing, calculating the volume of the cylinder. Now, a cylinder is a type of prism, and for any prism, the way to calculate the volume is always the cross-sectional area. So I'm going to write cross area, and that times by the length or the height. So in this case, let's go for height. For any cylinder, the cross-sectional area, so basically the area, if I cut it, that same area is represented throughout the shape. So what area we're talking about here is the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, and we are multiplying by the height. So if we are looking at pi r squared, we're looking at pi. Now, this is where IGCSE is very useful, right? So in case you did not obtain the method for the radius in part A, you could have still used the value of the radius given to you, 1.910 squared, and then you could have completed the question for part B. So be very careful with continuity questions such as this one. And that times by 40, which is my height in this case, and plugging all that into my calculator obtains me the value of 458 centimeter cube. So ideally in IGCSE, they are looking for 3 significant figures, so 458 would be ideal. Moving on to the next question. The rectangle can also be made into a hollow cylinder with height 12 centimeters. So what's happening here? Earlier, we kind of folded the rectangle downward and made our cylinder. Now, we're rolling the rectangle in the sideways manner and forming some cylinder like this. So, whereby the height is now 12 centimeters and the radius around the top is 40. So again, as earlier, the circumference of this new cylinder at the top would be 40 centimeters. So therefore, 2 pi r should be 40, and r can be calculated by 40 divided by 2 pi, which is equal to 6.366 centimeters. But that is not the end of the question. It does not ask you to find the radius. It's actually asking you to find the differences in volume. So we have to find the volume for this cylinder first. Again, that would be pi r squared times the height. So in this case, my r is going to be 6.366. And I'm going to square that and multiply by the height. Now the height here is 12. And once I have done that, This obtains me the value of 1527.89 centimeters cubed. So ideally what I would say is, if you're rounding, keep the rounding to about 4 or 3 decimal places till the final answer, for which then you can round it to either what is told in the question or to the 3 significant figures that they are looking for. So once the first volume has been worked out, they are not asking for the volume of the new cylinder, they are asking for the difference. So therefore, my new volume, 1527.89, subtract the previous volume that I had, which is 458.37 before the rounding took place, and that is equivalent to 1069.52 centimeter cubed. But that is again not the end of the answer. So as you can see, it is asked that you have to give your answer correct to the nearest 10 centimeter cubed. So that is, this should be approximately equal to 1070. And that 1070 with all these methods should obtain you the 4 marks required for this section. So moving on to part B. Now part B says, a model of a car is mathematically similar to the actual car. The volume of the model is 75 cubic centimeters. So pardon me with my drawing, but here we are. That is going to be the big car, and I have a model car which is probably going to be teeny, but nonetheless model car. So we are told that the model car is 75 centimeters cubed and that the actual car is 4.8 meters cubed. So immediately you should notice that there's an issue with units. So better to change from meter cubed to centimeter cubed to get the best comparison. So therefore, how to go from meter cubed to centimeter cubed would be the question. So easy. How do we go from meters to centimeters? That is multiplying by 100. So if you want to go from meter cubed to centimeter cubed, that should be multiplied by 100 cubed. So therefore, I need to multiply 4.8 by 100 cubed. And when I do that, I obtain a value of 48 with 5 zeros, come in there, centimeter cubed. Now this is not the answer to the question at all. This is just you converting it into centimeter cubed so that you can compare the two cars, right? So this is the topic of similarity. So the next thing you'd have to work out is the actual factor between the volume of the original car and the volume of the new car. So to find out the factor in volume, it would be 480000 divided by 75. So when I do that, I identify the volume factor. That is, the actual car is 64,000 times bigger in volume compared to the model car. But the question does not ask for the factor in volume. So if going back to it, it's actually saying the scale is model to actual equals 1 to n. So it's not talking about the ratios between the volumes, it's talking about the ratios between the lengths of the cars. So if you have the volume factor as 64,000, the factor that they are requiring in length is always going to be the cube root of 64,000 which comes down to a factor of 40. So therefore, n is 40. And this would obtain you the 4 marks required.